Few kingdoms in Middle-earth have histories as long or as tragic as Gondor. From its founding after the fall of Numenor, through ages of power, plague, and endless war, Gondor shaped the fate of the entire world. This is its rise, its triumphs, and its long decline. Gondor begins in a moment of tragedy and hope. After the fall of Numenor beneath the sea, Elendil and his sons Isildur and Anarion fled eastward with the faithful. They arrived in Middle-earth carrying the knowledge, traditions, and sacred relics of their drowned homeland. They brought with them the White Tree, the memory of Elros, and the wisdom of the Númenórean kings. And it was here, on the banks of the Anduin, that they founded a new realm. A kingdom meant not to replace Numenor, but to preserve what little could be saved from its glory. Isildur and Anarion built twin capitals. Minas Ithil, the Tower of the Rising Moon, stood on the eastern hills facing Mordor, filled with gardens and white courts. Minas Anor, the Tower of the Setting Sun, faced west and was blessed with warmth and peace. Between them lay Osgiliath, the City of Stars, built upon the mighty river Anduin and crowned with the Dome of Stars, where the great Palantir rested. Here the brothers ruled side by side in harmony, each strengthening the other. Elendil governed from the north in Arnor, while his sons shaped Gondor into a realm worthy of their father's legacy. But Gondor's earliest years were shadowed by the ancient enemy. Sauron, resurrected in secret, moved against the Númenórean exiles. His forces poured out of Mordor, shattering peace before it had time to settle. Minas Ithil was the first to fall, its gardens burned and its white tree destroyed. Anarion held Minas Anor, while Isildur fled north to seek aid from Elendil. This led to the greatest alliance in the history of elves and men, the Last Alliance. Elendil and Gil-galad marched upon Mordor with their armies, and after long years of siege, they brought Sauron to the very brink of defeat. But victory came at enormous cost. Elendil and Gil-galad were slain. Anarion fell to a stone cast from Barad-dûr, and Isildur, in a moment of weakness, kept the One Ring for himself, a choice that would shape the darkness of ages to come. After the last alliance, Gondor stood alone as the great bulwark of the West. Arnor, the northern kingdom, slowly withered, torn apart by rivalries among the heirs of Isildur and weakened by wars with the Witch King of Angmar. Gondor, stronger and richer, became the primary realm of the Dúnedain. Its people grew in power and its borders expanded. Under the Ship Kings, Gondor reached its greatest height. King Tiranan Falastor created a mighty navy that commanded the coasts. His successors extended Gondor's influence deep into the southern seas, building fortresses, conquering lands, and establishing outposts that rivaled the ancient achievements of Numenor. Wealth flowed into Minas Anor and Osgiliath, and for a time, it seemed no force could threaten their dominion. Gondor was the mightiest kingdom of men ever to exist in the Third Age, an empire of stone, sea, and steel. But even at its height, shadows gathered. The fall of Khazad-dûm to Durin's-Bane, the Balrog awakened in the deep, removed a powerful ally from Middle-earth, and weakened the trade and strength of surrounding realms. Lothlórien and Mirkwood fought their own battles in secret. The free peoples were slowly stretched, their defenses thinned. Gondor did not yet fall, but the world around it grew dimmer. Then came the Great Plague. It swept across the lands from the east, devastating cities and farms. It reached Gondor with terrible force, killing thousands. Even King Telemnar and all his children died. Osgiliath, once the heart of the kingdom, was emptied and abandoned, its bridges collapsing, its Palantir lost in the Anduin. After the plague, Gondor never fully recovered. Its population shrank, its armies dwindled, and its breath of power grew thin. The decline had begun. As Gondor weakened, its enemies grew bold. Easterlings and Wainriders descended in waves from the east, striking again and again. Gondor fought valiantly, but each victory cost blood they could not afford to lose. The Dúnedain's Númenórean longevity began to fade. Their lives grew shorter, their strength diminished. No longer did they command the great might of their ancestors. Slowly, inevitably, Gondor shifted from rising power to fading giant. Then came the final blow to the line of kings. During the reign of King Ernil II, his son, Prince Ernur, answered the taunts of the Witch King of Angmar. In a moment of pride, he rode alone to Minas Morgul, never to return. With his disappearance, the line of Anarion was broken. No rightful heir remained. Gondor had lost its king, not to death and glory, but to a decision clouded by pride and hubris. And so the stewards took the throne, not as rulers, but as caretakers of a crown that no one believed would ever return. During the centuries of the stewards, Gondor stood as a silent sentinel against Mordor, holding back darkness with dwindling hope. Sauron rose again in secret, first in Dol Guldur, then openly in Mordor. His fortress, Barad-dûr, was rebuilt. The Nazgul returned. Minas Ithil was captured and defiled, transformed into Minas Morgul, a wound of evil carved directly into Gondor's eastern flank. The kingdom that once spanned coasts and mountains was now compressed into a handful of strongholds. The shadow pressed at every border. Gondor still resisted, but the cost grew too great. And then came the War of the Ring. Minas Tirith, once Minas Anor, became the last defiant beacon of men. Its white walls held against the greatest siege of the age. The beacons were lit, calling for aid, and the Rohirrim answered with thunder beneath their hooves. King Theoden fell in valor on the Pelennor fields. The Witch King was destroyed. Aragorn marched from the south with the dead of Dunharrow, and later with the standard of Elendil restored. Gondor saw both its darkest and its most glorious hour on the same field. With Sauron's fall, a king at last returned. Aragorn II Elisar reclaimed the throne after more than 1,000 years of rule by stewards. The white tree blossomed once more on the slopes of Minas Tirith, symbolizing renewal. The kingdoms of Gondor and Arnor were reunited. Peace was restored to the west, and the Age of Men began anew. The rise of Gondor was built on the strength of exiles. Its glory came from courage, conquest, and wisdom inherited from Númenor. Its decline was slow, tragic, and filled with battles fought in the shadow of a returning evil. And its restoration was the triumph of hope against despair. Gondor's story is a tale of light that endures even when surrounded by darkness. It is the saga of a kingdom that rose from the ashes of a drowned empire, shone like a star in the ages of men, faded under the weight of war and sorrow, and was finally reborn under the hand of a long-awaited king. If you wish to explore even deeper into the ancient history of Arda, go watch our next video about Feanor's life. Thank you for watching, and if you want more tales from Middle-earth, join us and subscribe so you don't miss the next story.